Today I'm going to be showing you how to type variables that are deconstructed from an object in TypeScript. So here I have an SJS project and using TypeORM, but this is actually not a TypeORM or Next.js tutorial. But if you want me to do something like that, do a tutorial on Next.js or TypeORM, you can just leave me a comment below and I will attend to that in future. So let's get into this. So we have a function here called fetch order, and this is to fetch order for a particular customer. Like I said, this is an e-commerce project. It's a backend service that's supposed to power a mobile app. And so the request is definitely going to be sent from the mobile app to fetch the list of orders for a particular customer. The customer that is signing into the app will want to say, okay, I want to see the list of my orders. So, and we have the request structure here. This is also, I did mention that earlier. So in this project too, I'm using a GraphQL. So you can be wondering like, oh, what's this input like? So, and all these decorators that I have up here. So, but don't pay attention to that right now. Just pay attention to the structure of the properties that we just have here. So here we have, so a customer can actually search for any other list of orders, maybe with this particular with a particular ID, customer order ID. Like, okay, I want an order with this particular ID, or I want an order that I placed from this store ID, or I want all my orders that are not yet delivered, that are still in pending state, or the customer or the seller has rejected because it's a marketplace platform. And so the pagination data is also part of this. And pagination data. So for here, where we're using the TypeORM, please don't bother yourself about that. The TypeORM is only expecting the object containing the structure of the other entity. I'll show you the other entity. So this is the other entity. We have different. So the other entity here is just a JavaScript class showing the structure of our database table. So we have a table in the database called order, and this is the list of the columns that we have in that table. So now we've mapped them out in an entity class here, so we can easily interact with them in the code. So here is the order number, here is the store number, and this is the customer ID. This is the user ID. But from the request, we're not sending the user ID because we already have the user object from here, from JWT decryption. So we've already decrypted a JWT token, and we pass all the user details into this variable, and we can use it up. And now there is a spread operator here, and you'll be wondering like, okay, what is a spread operator? Spread operator means that in this context here, that everything inside the request, apart from this guy, will be packed into another variable called where clause, and we can easily access it. And as you can see, we have these four guys here. We have ID, store, other status code, and the pagination. We have that in the request that is being sent into this function, and we're only extracting the pagination data outside from it. We now say, okay, the rest of it. So we have three more there. Coincidentally, we have three dots here. That is not what it means. So these three dots represent any number of other property that we have inside request will be moved into this variable for us to be able to use. And now, if we check, we can see the IntelliSense is showing us that we have three property in this variable where clause, and we can easily make use of them in our code. Like, okay, where clause dot. So when I say dot, those three guys popped up. But what about the user ID? We know that where clause should also take the user ID in this context rather. So where clause can also take user ID because we want to filter by the user ID as well. So what if we just say user ID equals to the current user.id? Then we have the ID shouting like, okay, it doesn't understand what user ID is. You check. So it's not a valid property of this where clause. Right, how do we do that? Okay, maybe we should extend this. We can now say, okay, I want to type this where clause to say, okay, to avoid this error, and create a virtual property along with this other guy. So then this is where the structure comes in. Like, okay, the pagination there, still mentioned, it's an optional property from the other side. So it's a type of this. Nothing is shouting. Okay, we have user ID. We have user ID as what again? As number. Then the error goes off. Yeah, it looks like, yes, we won, right? But what about if we need to use the ID or the store number? So like, let's say we're checking for if the store ID is so store, then that store is already closed, or we don't show the order to any customer anymore, whatever. Like, whatever reason that you need. And now when you pick where clause dot store ID, it's like, no, I don't have store ID here. Like, oh, where is the store ID? I gave it to you. Okay, I don't have it. All right, so what do? Then we'll start bringing in. Okay, let's just say, to be on the safer side, we've already seen how to type some of the deconstructed property, but let's take it a bit further. Like, okay, how do we solve this problem? Okay, so let's say whatever that we have deconstructed out here are also in general going to be the same thing as the same structure that we pass to it. Right, so now this guy is crying again. Like, okay, I don't know where the user ID is coming from. Then we can now say, okay, in this object, there is also something that we are expecting, we are trying to extend into it, which is user ID, right? User ID, so let's say it's number. It's number. So this guy's like, I don't have user ID in the request that you're passing into it. Where is it coming from? Okay, because we don't want you to cry. We make it this. Okay, it's an optional variable, optional property of it. It can be available, it cannot be available, but that is not good. We know this is what we need, like that, right? And it looks like, but what if there are other property that we want to use up in our query? So for instance, if we come to this property, we have other things. Let's say, okay, give me the address that I sent to give me the order that I sent to this particular address. So let's say something like that is coming, or maybe we know that, okay, there's always going to be a particular address for that user. It's just an example. Let me look for, okay, let's say the status is true or false. And we start coming down here and we say, okay, where the status equals true. So let's say maybe there are some orders that have been cancelled, maybe, and this guy starts crying. Like, I don't know what you mean by status again. Okay, you don't know what I mean by status? Okay, I'll give it to you. Status. Right? Status is a Boolean value. But, okay, status is not available in the request that you sent into it. Okay, make it an optional. Yes, everything looks fine. What if there are more and more and more that we want to be adding into this, right? Yes, we can do that. But now a bit part of TypeORM that you can do. So this is just a plus for you if you are working on TypeORM function. You can easily just say, okay, don't worry. I don't want to type out all the possible structures in my code. I don't want to do that. I just want you to give me, okay, this is a function. Then we can come down here. Like this where clause, what's he expecting? He's expecting different things. You can pass in find one option or find condition option. But in our own case is a where condition that we're trying to like construct. You can say, okay, give me a find condition of what? Of an entity. What entity are we working on? We're working on the other entity. So when we do this, so you can see that no one is crying because this find condition has all the columns that we have in our entity, have them described as an optional value, optional properties in them, and we can start making requests to it, right? We can start using, so for instance, let's say where other status is true, I can say where clause dot, then we can see tons of things are now available. I can have, okay, that was created on so date. So where the created at is equals to new date of today, that are created today, or maybe now or something like that. Yeah, so I know we need to like do more of it. So you can see like the condition is endless now. You can easily bring in almost every part of the column in that table into your where clause, and you can easily have it more than that because you can easily have them even when they are not available in the request that was passed to you from the mobile app. So with this, I hope this will help you. If you like the video and you want me to do more of this, or you have a particular request, you can just put it in the comments below and we'll attend to it. Thank you so much and have a nice day.